saying this all over again. So we're going to start the color scales today, and I explained during the lecture on Monday why we're doing it this way. We're not doing a color wheel, even though I used examples of color wheels in the lecture. I think that it's a wiser move and simpler and faster and just as accurate and helpful to you to do it in this linear way, the way a spectrum actually works. Spectrum is a line. Color wheel is a man-made invention. The reason I think it's important I have to tell you about the color wheel is when you're done with me and you go off into another instructor's painting class or another instructor's color theory class like Marie Thiebaud's or Jeff, my boss who is teaching the class that's in here before I'm here with you guys, that's Jeff, who wears the white hat. They will talk about color wheels. And so if you haven't made one, you need to know what they are. It's basically all I did was take a color wheel, break it in half, and flatten it out. So instead of being two halves of a circle, it's two lines on a page. It's the same thing. The colors are arranged in the same order. They have the same relationship. One is warm, one is cool. The way the color wheel is warm on one side, cool on the other. They go from light to dark. And the way I've arranged them here, every single color they pair up. Like there's, like for example, this is, and these are for you, by the way, these handouts. This shows you like where all the swatches will go. So the top row, for example, it says yellow, and then the last one is rose violet. And so that's going to be the warm one, then the bottom one's the cool one. But every color pair of colors that are on top of each other, like yellow and violet, orange and blue, red, orange, and cerulean, red and blue, green, all of those colors are complements. And when you're looking at a color wheel, you have to look across the wheel to see where the complements are. I think this is simpler because it just puts them closer together, and you can see it clearly. So I designed this specifically to have all the same data as a color wheel, but not in a circle, because nobody wants to be cutting a perfect circle by hand with an Olfa knife. All right, we don't want to do that. So that's why it's that way, but just keep in mind when you leave my class, people will ask about the color wheel or will refer to it, and that's why you guys need to know what it is, okay? Now, as far as mixing the swatches for this, and you would do the same thing if it were a color wheel, it's just the assembly that's different. I think the wisest thing to do is I had you grid out 4 sheets of paper, and you're working with 3 colors. And basically, what I think we should do is this, and I'm going to show you. Take one sheet, and that's going to be your yellow to magenta sheet, okay? And the first swatch is going to be yellow. The last swatch is going to be magenta. And then here in the middle will be your middle swatch, right? Then the next page will start with magenta, and it will end with cerulean blue. Again, this will be your middle swatch. And you'll see there's a guide here that says which ones are the middle swatches. The red-orange is where hang on, what is it? It equals, I can't read it from here. But I've labeled it so that you know how the mixtures go. So one page will be yellow to magenta, one in the middle. Next page, magenta to cerulean blue, one in the middle. Last page, cerulean blue, back to yellow again. And that should give you enough. You have a 4th page just in case you need to make some more and you're ready to go. Now, since you've had the demo, you know how to grid these out. They're already gridded. You know how to mix the paint. You know how to apply the paint. It's the same thing. So I will just show you. This is how I think you should begin. Okay. Is it open? That's why I wore the gloves. Okay. All righty. So we have yellow. Brought my rag, put the top back on, and we got our magenta. Now, as you know, one of the main issues that we had, fortunately that didn't fall on one of the swatches. As you recall, there were issues, especially with the light grays with streakiness. You will encounter similar issues with the paint in color also. Do the same technique, get the paint down quickly, smooth it out gently, and that will be as good as it gets. I recommend that this time you do mix the paint with a palette knife just to make sure it's thoroughly mixed. You could kind of get away with it with the grayscales, but not so much with the color. So I will show you this. So first, obviously, the easy thing to do, squeeze out a little. yellow. Okay. You've seen this before. Okay. All right. And again, load, you know it. It's like you know how to do this now, right? Okay. Load the brush. Get it down quickly. Now, how transparent is that? That's crazy transparent. Okay, it's super transparent. Okay. That's that one. Don't, okay, this actually is a new problem. Don't drink it. This happens. Students are like, they're tired, they're dazed, and they think it's like Gatorade or something. It's happened. It's happened. So it won't kill you, but it's kind of gross. You know, really, I don't think it'll hurt you. Yeah, you'll pee magenta, which probably scare the hell out of you. But, nobody wants that to happen. All right, so I'm starting with the yellow. And the reason I'm doing this is this gives you a kind of a target to go for, okay? This stuff is super streaky. This thing is I hate this color. I really do. Look at that. Oh my God. But again, same rules. Over the top and bottom, over the right and left, drag it. And even so, it's going to be streaky. See that? It's really hard to avoid this. And I understand that, so don't freak out. It's okay. It's like, oh my God, it's streaky. It's like, yep, it will be for everybody. One thing you can do that I tell you not to do normally is just keep stroking it until they either go away. Nah, that doesn't work that well either. It just picks it up again. Forget I did that. That's what I always used to do when I was a student. But yeah, you probably can't. The problem is you'll see that when you're mixing it with, and what happens is if I let it dry, the brush starts picking it up. See how all of a sudden it turns pink? And I'm not even putting any pressure on it, it'll pick it up. But see, if you do it enough, the streaks eventually go away. Now that's a little too transparent. I would do another coat, honestly. Like I said, I used to do that. So, doesn't that look good? I know, looks like, so good for you, high fiber. Okay. Now, what's interesting about, could you hand me one of those, please? What's interesting about this paint, okay, unlike the grayscale, where the black is the stronger pigment. So it's not a 50-50 thing. If you mix 50-50 black and white, you're going to get the gray you get is going to be way darker than a middle gray. These paints are formulated differently where you actually can they do balance out. So for your basically this is your first page. You're going from yellow to magenta. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 swatches. And you've got 30 to pick from. And the out of the tube ones are already done for you. So this should be enough, I think. If you have difficulty or I think you need to make more, you can. But this should be enough to go from yellow to magenta. Now, in the middle is red-orange. That's going to be here. And that is where it says yellow equals magenta. So basically, you do just want to put out like equal parts as close as you can. And if you're not right, don't worry about it. So I'm just going to put these two together like this and kind of just match it. Like that's about right? It's close. It's about half and half. Now you want to use the palette knife. A reminder, because we didn't do this a lot. So you can hear it, you're scraping up the color and spreading it like butter on toast or cake icing. Just pushing it down and spreading it around. This will get it mixed a little more normal. You're a little more thoroughly and it won't be so streaky. It still will be streaky, but at least it won't be from the brush. It'll just be from this. So that should be your 50-50 middle color. That should be kind of like your red-orange here. So and again, this gives you something, like I said, to aim for. And yes, it's a little streaky. I can see that. Your colors will have some streaks. It's okay. No one gets graded down for this. It's the paint. Okay. So you want to go now from yellow, work your way to here, and then from this red, work your way to here. And so you're just adding, this is your kind of middle point. This is your starting point. And since I have all the paint here, I'll just, mix it back up again. Let's put a little yellow in it. Still wet, so I'm going to use it. And like the grayscales, just make sure that you keep these colors in between this and this. So I'm adding yellow to this, and it goes somewhere in here. That's up to you, but it doesn't matter if they're not in order, because you're going to cut these out and arrange them just like you did with the grayscales before. Okay. So how does this look? I don't know. Let's put it here. What the hell? The yellow to the red. And see, that doesn't look too bad. That doesn't look too streaky. That looks pretty good, actually. There you go. Yay! Not streaky, happy. Okay. So obviously these would be closer to yellow, these would be closer to red. If they're out of order a little bit, that's okay. These would be red going towards magenta, so you're just adding magenta to the red. Same rules. Palette knife goes in the water, brush goes in the water when you're not using it. So here I'm doing more magenta, less yellow. Clear? You can see that, right? That's obvious? Yes, Cole, it is. Okay. Mix it again with the palette knife. Just make sure it's nice and evenly mixed. Ooh, yummy. Ketchup.